It's starting to look a lot closer. Not only one of my theories coming up, not only two of my theories coming up, but possibly even three of my theories all coming out in one big roll, or four if you count my comment about the members of Fairy Tail being buffed by Toka the White Witch. And it's always hard because she's not actually named. She's the White Witch. We don't know what her real name is, but everyone just calls her Toka for obvious reasons. But from this chapter, leaving to where we left off in chapter 31, Lucy's revealed her new trump card. And out of everyone so far, we haven't seen, at least prior to this chapter, we hadn't seen what her new thing was. Because, now we had Urza's able to mix and match her swords and armor in a way that, when she uses her like her Yoto Benizakura sword, she's able to mix the power of whatever armor she's in with it, like when we saw against Kiria. She's able to use fire in her attack. Not only that, but obviously you got Wendy, who's able to temporarily enchant things with Dragon Slayer magic. Natsu, I think Natsu's just more of like, even though he doesn't have like something he developed over the time skip, I think it's just, he's got this new form and what's going on with him. Lucy's now got this new form, so she's looking real great with her star dress mix as she's pushing them all over. And I actually like this. People were complaining about her display a little bit in the chapter because she pretty much only gets one attack off with it when she uses it, and you actually get pretty cool stuff from Lizana too, because she also gets a trump card. She gets a nine-tailed fox form, which doesn't really get to do anything like showingly impressive with it. I mean, I guess the fact she was able to put on some of a push on Stardress Mix Lucy, there's still like a level of, Lucy's not a pushover. So, this version of Lizana at least doing something was still, you got to give her credit for it. It's probably her most impressive, like, singular display she's done in the series, which isn't much, but she doesn't have much. So, you get something, Lisa. But then, actually, what I had said, I think this might even count as a fifth one prediction when I said, like, what it would this mix between Virgo and Leo's powers even be. And it's like, well, one makes light and one makes holes in the ground. Are they going to have, like, light pour out of, like pretty much holes dug out of the ground? And that's seemingly exactly what it was. She just has large rays and, like, amounts of light from her Lion Maiden spell and just kind of, like, nukes the whole area in light magic, which was pretty sick. So from that, we now have like she ends up taking out Lizard in the process, and she doesn't stay in her form very long. Like I said, I actually like that it was very short because it means that this is a trump card for Lucy, but it's literally you get it for a moment and you can't. It's something that you can kind of just jump into and then use all the time. That's one of the things that it wasn't also just like, oh well, Lucy's got this new form and she only got to use it once. Well, like why is she always getting treated like this? Natsu when he fought Zeref, he got one attack off with Dragon Force, and then he fell out of the form. Like power form upgrades, like especially when they're like not just like when you look at something like what Natsu is now with like Lightning Flame Dragon and Fire Dragon King mode, they're enhancements, but they're not your trump card. Your trump card always for Mishima has just been like a pretty like taxing thing. It's like if Lucy could just stay in this form and drop spells the whole time, then it's like, well, why didn't she do it in maybe the fight with Merphobia or any fight upcoming after? She just jumps in and like, okay, no, she's got one spell in it, and she has to know that she's needed to go all out. Otherwise, like if she used it in the fight against sorry, I'm coughing right in the middle, right in the fight with Merphobia, then she could have potentially like lost all of her magic and her stamina, and then she would stand in the back while everyone else does something. Of course not. She's gonna pace herself because that's obviously something that you should do in a fight. You just don't go all out from the start unless demands it, and especially Lucy because she's out of the whole main group, she's the most intelligent member. Then right after that, we get Mira Jane and Elfman damaged, but still up. I still believe that they're enhanced by Toka because it just with Lizana, I feel like Lizana even keeping up with Lucy in general was like kind of, if not kind of hard, like either impressive for her or it's like, yeah, she's boosted. Also, just on a side note, Elfman's like lion form looks so awesome. I actually really like looking at it. I'm happy, even if he doesn't even if he doesn't end up doing a lot with it, it still just looks really cool. I'm happy that it's in his arsenal. But then Virgo is defeated. Lucy's still trying to figure out what she can do against Mira Jane. We get pulled over to Toka, who's like talking about she's just like talking in general, but I imagine like her words end up kind of like showing up probably in the heads of all of the members of, anyone that she's controlled, rather. And she even like reveals a little bit about her plan currently, because we already know that she's affecting Alderaan and she wants to use it, but she's like, all right, now directly, I won't have to have a problem with going against any of the other dragon gods. And I think one of the sort of the things that actually adds consistency to the claims of like her being on level with Zareth and the dragon gods being on level with Logia, because we know like the only way that you'd be able to fight someone like Acnologia is if you were on their level, and Zareth knew he wasn't on at his level, and now we have Toka, who already has displayed levels comparable to Zareth. She completely defeated everyone in Fairy Tail with like seemingly no resistance, no effort, for it. She didn't look like she broke a sweat. Two of them were definite Hyde Spriggan level characters with Jalal and Laxus, and this, I think, the fact that she has demonstrated to have that Zerf level of power, and she still is like clearly like I'm gonna need one of the dragon gods to defeat another dragon god. So she knows outside of trickery, she can't beat 1v1, which again is something Logia, pretty smart. And one of again the theories, I'm sticking with it until otherwise proven, until we get canon to say otherwise. Everybody else is out of the fight. I think the only people really left are what like Levy and Makarov. We don't care about them in this fight. I don't want Levy to fight at all. Levy shouldn't fight. She's pregnant. She doesn't need to be in this. I hope for some reason the White Witch has one shred of decency in her to say I probably shouldn't have the pregnant woman fight. Put her in the back. Let her do like recon stuff or like intelligence strategic. But Makarov, Makarov's a cripple. Laxus, please. I mean, it's just leading up so much, because who else really is left as a threat that Toka has under control, unless she pulls out like her own members of Libieris that aren't from the guild, or maybe characters she's had under control prior, maybe other old guilds that we haven't seen in a while. Again, who knows? And then Urza going up against, I guess, Jalal. I think this was actually the comment leading right up to when she went up against Jet and Droy. When she, they pretty much get in front of her and they're like, aha, we're gonna stop you. And then she says, like, even controlled are that weak. In my mind, it's like, what would controlled being mattered about their strength unless, like, they are enhanced? And I just feel like even, like, that's the comics. It's like, even with this, you guys still are nothing compared to me. And it's more like what's funny is it wasn't like a, haha, I'm arrogant and cocky way. It was like Urza's just disappointed in them being so weak, and she's, like, talking about them lacking training. And then Urza against Jalal, both the fight itself and the layer of the fight, again, that I called out. But it's not that them fighting that I would use as the, like, I predicted this, because I think that was just obvious. It's the way that they're going to fight, because, like I said before, between Urza and Jalal, the thing is, between them, whenever they meet up, obviously they have like they have a past and they have feelings for each other. They kind of like stop being their powerful, like, high level character selves, and they become more of these two characters who want to be with each other, but for reasons they can't. And the thing that kind of like was going to help Jalal in this case is he wasn't going to be held back by those emotions because of where Urza was. And I figured that he would end up using, like, Urza's obvious infatuation with him against her. That being exactly how it went, because right when the fight starts, Urza's like gets in her, she ends up getting her fire pants and soccer sword, and then Jalal just takes off his robe and he's in his underwear, showing off them ripped jelly boy Bishi muscles, and is ready to defeat her with sex appeal, which sounds silly, but in Urza's case, it's just like straight on, because what else is her weakness? That is Urza's biggest weakness, all, and it's not like in a like fight wise. It's literally just the fact that she's in love with him. It's funny because she could have Gray or Natsu just stand there, just as muscular, and nothing to them, nothing to her. But then she sees Jalal's face attached, and then she starts getting a little bit hot and bothered, a little bit rustled. I'm hoping that that fight isn't entirely comedy. I would like to see some moments of them. One thing I would like, in a lot of ways, hoping it gets mentioned is, because Dragon Cry's canon, and there's that scene in Dragon Cry when Urza uses Grand Chariot, and it's like, it's not impossible. It wasn't really vital for the fight, because she had already figured out how to counter her opponent. But at the same time, it was like, what was the point of giving her Grand Chariot? And we still don't know if there's a story behind it, or if she just learned Grand Chariot for some reason because, Jalal Grand Chariot, heavenly body magic. I don't know. We'll find that out hopefully at some point. It's not important. Like literally it's not important to anything, but I would like to see it. I would like to see it at some point. Maybe it'll end up falling just to the weird the weird spells related to this man that we don't see. Like we still have not seen Abyss Break, has existed all the way since the Tartarus arc, or not Tartarus arc, the Phantom Lord arc. Still have not seen it. We know Jalal can cast it like almost instantly, and yet no, still no. Get back to Natsu and Gajio fighting, and with their fight, if it turns out that they aren't being enhanced by Toka, which I still think they are, I would be okay with it purely because it puts Gajil up near Natsu's level. But I feel like I feel like it would be kind of like hurtful to Natsu, but it would be so nice for Gajil because obviously now he's catching up with the guy. But for Natsu, it'd be like, hey, you've gone through everything and you let Gajil catch up to you in a year, but we haven't seen him drop Fire Dragon King mode or Dragon Force. I'm hoping that they end up doing that because Gajio really deserves it. He still cannot activate True Dragon Force at will, and deserves it so much. He's such a good character, and he's always falling behind. But then we get back to Gray, and Gray fighting against Freed, Big Slow, and Mirror Jane, Evergreen, and Juvia, who's having her jealous fantasies, can't really do anything because she can't use magic right now. And when Gray's just like, screw this, I'm just gonna freeze everyone, which you'd think he would. Like obviously, like he probably wasn't gonna go right away for just using like Ice Make Silver and just like flash freezing the entire area with the hopes of not to get other people caught. But I think he just like, well, screw this, I can't like mess around anymore. Goes to uses Ice Make, and the brokenness of Freed's magic still exists because even though he can set rules, like, for his runes, like, oh, no magic in this zone, he can also be very specific with it when he knows about his character that he's fighting. Obviously with Gray's Ice Mage, all he has to say is just add that extra line if anybody can't use magic in this zone, you just put Ice Magic, and it's like, well, every other magic you can use, but obviously Gray is, in fact, an Ice Mage primarily, so it's a little screwed over in that. But that was actually not entirely going to be good for them because now Gray's going to be using Demon Slayer magic without the ice portion. And I talked about this a while ago. I talked about this a good while ago. If anybody remembers, I think it was chapter. I'm just pulling up the chapter really. If you want to go look at it, I think it was 13. It might be chapter. I'm in the middle of like looking during all this. It was one of the covers. Might be 16. One of the covers where it shows Natsu and Gray, and it's like a freestyle battle, and Urza's beat. And if you look at Gray's back, Gray actually has a demon on it, like a very strange designed demon that actually 9. I'm sorting through all this while trying really hard to remember. But yeah, it was chapter 9. If you go back and look, there are similarities between it. Like if you look at the weird like eyes of the tattoo on Gray's demon slaying mark, you look at that like weird eye in the middle. You look at the shape of the horns. They have a striking resemblance to the demon that's on Gray's shirt. Could it just be a cool design? Obviously, but could it be some form of foreshadowing and a little teaser Easter egg for what's to come? Of course, because we know not only is Gray should have some form of upgraded self in this year later time skip, but we know that like his whole thing right now is he wants to become strong enough to where he believes he can protect Juvia so they can finally be together. So right now for him, like getting powerful is actually on his agenda. Like it's not just like get stronger as you go. Like he genuinely wants to become more powerful for this reason. And similar to Dragon Slaying magic, because Slayer magic is literally just you're temporarily turning parts of your body into like what you're fighting. Dragon Slayer, God Slayer, Demon Slayer. God Slayer is kind of weird because we never saw anything like them turning into gods. Dragon Slayers obviously they slowly turn into dragons. That also be Dragon Force, a temporary accelerated state of becoming a dragon. Whereas Gray's demonization that we saw back in the Tartarus arc was a similar thing. Like he became part demon in order to enhance his powers, where he could neutralize Memento Mori. So we knew that at the time of having a equivalent to Dragon Force was available to him, and people have always called it either Devil Force or Demon Force. I'm wondering if it's going to end up having its own name. Like, this could be the time to see it. But similar to how, like, you could have a Dragon Slayer go into Dragon Force, and it's like you could take away their element, but they're still physically enhanced to a giant degree. With Gray, I'm wondering, like, how much his will be. Because even though, like, he gets a straight, like, raw, like, stat increase, it's a multiplying ability. Similar to, again, like, Dragon Slaying, Dragon Force. But will it just be having physical demonic powers? Because one thing that could also like be utilized is being a demon, because we know that demon slaying is both like it's a magic, but it has a curse attached. So Gray could theoretically use straight curse power, and there's already been theories that some of his like anytime he's used his demon slaying ice, that it is partially a curse, because demon slaying ice is actually all ice. But with that, it would make sense of like if Gray either will just go physically and be able to beat on these guys, or if he will end up being able to use ice magic or ice abilities, but they would be ice curse abilities, ice magic. I'm hoping he gets a horn. I'm hoping he gets one of those horns. I think it would look really cool on Gray, and we already know that obviously, dragon slaying magic, you slowly become a dragon, gain dragon aspects. Should be the exact same further with demons, and similar to like dragon slaying, it just starts out you get scales, and then you slowly get like specific properties, like we saw Dragon Cry Natsu claws and a horn and a wing. Wendy has those feathers. Gray could get something similar. Like look at this picture. Like I said on chapter 9. Maybe he gets a horn. Maybe he gets a frost wing. Maybe he gets like big elongated claws, or like has like a kind of like a mist around him. I guess I'm not from this, like a fog of just like when you have something so cold it just kind of like fumes up around it like that. It just has that like kind of just like radiating chill. That would be pretty sick. I think that would be an extra thing to add to Gray and just turn him into some sick hybrid frost demon. I mean, and again, it's looking to be that way, because now Gray's just like, well, if I can't use magic, I'm just gonna go demon on you guys. So I'm happy, because I did that video, like, chapter 12 was a while ago. So I mean, 20 chapters, and it's a bi-weekly, so 40 weeks ago. Around I came up with this theory. Happy to see it come true. I've always really liked Gray. He's a good guy, and I'm happy to see that he's gonna get some power up form of his own, where gets an added thing. It's not just like he has this really cool encroaching demon black layer to it, but he might end up getting, like I said, a horn or something. I'm excited to think about it, because it will just be looking real cool on him. And you'd imagine, because also one thing with his, it'd be cool to see like if him and Natsu have theirs on like different sides, because Gray is left-handed and Natsu's primarily uses right hand, so you could have that to where Gray has the demonic kind of like layer on his right side, but on his left side is where the horn comes out of. I think that would just be kind of cool, and you just see kind of like from spreading over his body. But other than that, tell me in the comment section below what you thought about this chapter, how you think this is going. Again, I'm stoked. Happy to see Lucy shine. Happy to see Gajeel get, keeping up with Natsu after so long. Still hyped to see what who Wendy ends up facing there. Watch it be like Romy. I've been waiting, and then she shows up and beats, and it's like, but great stuff. Absolutely great. Fantastic. Obviously, the Urza comedy was good. And I'd like to hear what you guys think. And comment below, like I said, thumbs up the video, from the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.